So I was told, guys, we got a bit of a treat for us. We got Saibot playing the Hive Tyrant, and we got Fourth Shadow, who I believe is Kickin, playing as the Chaos Sorcerer, and I was just told that this was a very silly game. So I'm feeling like I need a bit of silliness right now, so let's check it out. So on Ashes of Typhon, pretty awkward map for the Chaos Space Marines, I'd say. There's no cover, so the value of having these high HP, low model units, a lot less when there's not really any good cover. There's little bits of yellow cover here and there, but I think there's literally zero green cover on this map. And a lot of this yellow cover, it can get destroyed anyway, especially by the big spooky Hive Tyrant who walks through cover. Cannot be suppressed. Look at him wrongly, and you will be undressed. He's going to engage with the heretics here. No, he's not. The heretics see him and they're like, nope, see you. Do not want to fight him. That makes sense. You're not going to be able to achieve a whole lot against him. So we're seeing triple Hormagaunts from Saibot. I like that, because this is a big map. Melee is generally very good on big maps. There's a few line of sight blockers. It is a little bit laney because of this like impassable terrain in these areas. It kind of funnels the map into 3 lanes, which is not ideal for melee because it means, well, your setup team basically can cover 1/3 of the map if you set it up nearly anywhere. But we'll see how it works out for him. Obviously he has the Hive Tyrant, so he can charge, and presumably he's going to be getting some Raveners as well. This is a bit awkward though. This is one of the problematic things. Oh, I don't know why I didn't finish the cap, that was a bit weird. One of the problematic things with going for a lot of melee is you're not really going to be able to deal with enemy heroes very well. Very late on the Doom Bolts. Kickin should have used that a long time ago. But even without the Doom Bolts, just the special attacks from the Chaos Sorcerer, he has 360 special attacks, so it literally hits everything in a 360 degree around him. Super powerful against melee squads, especially Hormagaunts, which don't have a huge amount of HP. They've got a lot of models, so they get hit pretty hard by that special attack. We're going to see some Noise Marines. Now, Noise Marines do a lot more damage to the Hormagaunts, but the problem is that Noise Marines, well, they don't really control them, do they? They've got the Cacophony ability. If the Hormagaunts do get too close, they can knock them away temporarily, but it shuts down your Noise Marines while you're doing it, so it's not a counter by any stretch of the imagination. And Havocs could control the Hormagaunts from a long distance. Noise Marines have to get very close, so I don't know about the Noise Marines. I generally say that Noise Marines are actually better anti-melee than they are anti-ranged, but you need other sources of control to make sure that the melee doesn't just charge at the Noise Marines, because if they do, then the Noise Marines are kind of useless. And there's a lot of melee going around here, in particular this Hive Tyrant, who is very, very tanky. And you see the problem, he just walks straight through right now. Just going to tie up those Noise Marines. Gets a little bit of pew-pew off. Obviously, he wasn't anywhere near full HP there, so he is eventually forced off by the focus fire of the Chaos Space Marines and the Noise Marines. 1 AC tick, and then we got 1 GL tick, and now we've got Raveners. Do we see any Adrenal Glands yet? No Adrenal Glands for Saibot yet. Raveners are out on the field. They'll be good at kiting the Noise Marines, getting a little bit of burst damage off, getting out of there, but they're also good for just burrowing atop the Noise Marines. Those Hormagaunts probably want to get out of there. The Raveners should take over the melee duties and tie up the Noise Marines, because you look at the damage. Oh, the Doom Bolts. The Doom Bolts. Fortunately for Saibot there, he did retreat quite early, but even then, look at the HP on these Hormagaunts going down to 3 HP. You just think if the Doom Bolts were literally seconds sooner, then that would have been a wiped out squad. You got a lot of AoE damage going about here to contend with when you're running triple Hormagaunts. Hive Tyrant moving out on his own, I feel, is not ideal. He's really tanky, but it's kind of just been wasted right now because, well, he's slow, so you can kite him relatively easily. Now, you wouldn't have that benefit if there's a load of Hormagaunts swarming alongside him, because you can't kite the Hormagaunts. So you just throw the Hive Tyrant in first to make the Noise Marines have to back up or get tied up in melee, and then the Hormagaunts swarm in afterwards. But Saibot obviously sending him forward there because he wants to protect the little bit of a gen farm that he has so far. But it's suboptimal. Any teleporting armor on the Sorcerer? We do have it. He is going to teleport after that Hive Tyrant, and the damage over time will take out the Hive Tyrant there with the Coruscating Flame. And now this Wargear can put some serious hurt onto the Raveners. Should have enough energy to jump back out. Raveners are being kind of aggressive here, leaping in, but they're getting disrupted by the Cacophony. Sorcerer needs to teleport out. I don't know what he's doing. Risking getting killed by the Devourers of the Raveners there. Raveners actually putting in some great work in melee, killing 2 of the CSM models. And the Heretics are now getting blasted to pieces by their guns. Guns in quotation marks, I suppose. I don't really know if you can consider them a gun. What is the definition of a gun? I don't even know. What is the definition of a gun? Anyway, their ranged weaponry melts a few Heretics and they have to retreat out of there as well. Very effective usage of the Raveners. Unfortunately for Saibot, he has actually lost 2 of his Ravener models already, which, you know, that's 33% of his range DPS gone. This generator would probably already be destroyed had he not lost them. Maybe he would even get the time to finish off 2 generators in that instance, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter too much. He had a nice engagement there. He bled Kickin loads. You can see, looking at Kickin's requisition resources, he was bled like crazy. And you got that Gem Bash, that's another 100 requisition down the drain for Kickin. Meanwhile, the Hormagaunts have done very well, controlling this bottom part of the map. Once again, we do see the Hive Tyrant moving out, kind of out of tune with the rest of his army, which is really unfortunate because Saibot doesn't have any warriors, so there is no Synapse right now except for the Hive Tyrant himself. So it's just a massive debuff to not have your Hive Tyrant with your army. You're missing out on giving your entire army 20% extra damage resistance, as well as being a pivotal unit in actually dealing with things like the Curse Sorcerer, like the Aspirant Champion Heretics, like the Noise Marines. So yeah, he gets the wipe and the AC takes. I guess Kickin really didn't expect that, but I think there should be another teleport soon. Yeah, it doesn't even need it. Wow, the damage over time from that Flame Sword is quite something. So the Hive Tyrant falls, but I think wiping out a upgraded Heretic squad is definitely worth it. I mean, that is power in addition to more than 250 requisition, whereas Saibot will only have to pay 250 requisition to get back his Hive Tyrant. So the ranged units of Chaos focused on the natural VP and requisition point. They did get them back, pushing the Hormagaunts back. Will we now see a big timing push onto the Gen farm? No, it doesn't look like it. Saibot's a bit split up at the moment. GLT's going to get in a bit of poke, a nice barrage coming in, disrupting those Raveners, and now the CSM Bolters are free to fire, possibly going to bleed some models soon. One of the Raveners does fall. Raveners are very expensive to reinforce. I do not like this engagement from Saibot. Way too late on bringing the Hormagaunts up to support him there. And actually a burrow right then, around this area, when they were here, would have knocked the GLTs and the CSM flying backwards into the double Hormagaunts, and he could have killed them all quite easily. Then the Raveners can just force melee on the Noise Marines. So definitely some misplays there from Saibot. Not great, and once again the Hive Tyrant's now moving forward, completely isolated on his own. I don't like this. I don't know why he's doing this. I guess he just wants to keep up relentless pressure, but no, not good, not good. Very suboptimal usage of the HT here. And in an interesting turn of events, it's going to be Kickin who actually gets the tier 2 first, but for some reason, after getting tier 2 first, he's opting to replace his Heretics. What a world we live in. I suspect Kickin perhaps thought that Saibot would already be in tier 2, but it's not the case at all. Saibot's been bleeding quite a lot of Raveners, and they really do crush your economy if you start losing those Rav models. I must admit I'm a little bit disappointed to see no adrenal gland upgrades on the Hormagaunts as well. I think that's a super cost effective upgrade if you actually intend to use your Hormagaunts in melee. Sorcerer re-engaging here, which is a clear micro mistake from Kickin, but the amount of AoE damage that's coming out from the Chaos Army right now is really quite something. Looks like one of the Hormagaunts is going to get wiped. The Raveners are doing their best to get a little bit of pew-pew in, but once again, there should have been some staggered burrows. I don't know why Saibot is burrowing both of his Raveners simultaneously, so then you only get one increment of disruption. If you cycle the burrows after one another, you get double the disruption. Why would you not do that? It doesn't make any sense. but he should have been doing that to disrupt the range blob when the Hormagaunts were engaging. Then they wouldn't have took so much damage and had to retreat so early in the fight. Now you can see when the Hormagaunts actually managed to sneak in without having got shot up on approach, they do really well. Wow, lucky Chaos Sorcerer special there, knocking over the Raveners. Ooh, and a Dark Flames, but it's kind of mispositioned. I think that's going to be one Ravener down nonetheless. Sorcerer does have a teleport. It's going to be more than a Ravener, maybe a Hormagaunt going down as well. Can the Sorcerer finish it off? He has some bolt pistol shots. He has a Doom Bolts, but he completely whiffs it. Completely misses, and that Hormagaunt gets out with 5 HP. Hive Tyrant taking an engagement against the aspiring champion Heretics there. Kickin worried that the Hive Tyrant was actually going to be able to catch him. I don't know that he was, to be honest. But he's going to use that Warp Global to ensure that he can get out safely, and now Kickin's going to be getting Noise Marines. I don't understand why Kickin is getting all these Tier 1 units when he got to Tier 2 first. Even if you didn't get to Tier 2 first, why the hell are you getting Tier 1 units now? Just spam Bloodletters. Bloodletters are... well, they're just the antithesis of Tyranids. There is no hard counter. Gene Stealers and Raveners are the best counter to Bloodletters. Yeah, not great. So I would suspect that we're going to see some Adrenal Gland Warrior Brood coming out here, and given the way that Saibot is playing this, where he often has his Hive Tyrant running around solo, which, like I keep saying, I really don't like, he never has Synapse for his main fighting composition, which is over here. So having some melee Synapse here would be fantastic. I really would like to see some upgrades on the Hormagaunts as well. Some clear miss micro going on by Kickin there. He's too busy focusing on trying to get rid of this Warrior Brood. Finally realizes his Noise Marines have been compromised, but will they get out alive? Throws down a Dark Flames, but man, not a good Dark Flames. That was quite late and probably quite desperate. So not really achieving a whole lot from that. There's going to be a bit of a gem bash. Meanwhile, the Tzeentch Marines and the Grenade Launcher Heretics are base raping the Warriors. Warriors, as of this moment, do not have their Adrenal Gland upgrade, so they are significantly less durable right now. They're only Tier 1 Warriors, essentially. That Adrenal Gland upgrade does give them 75% more HP. It's kind of a big deal. So they need to get that urgently. Okay, Noise Marines get forced off. Looks like the Gem Bash will continue. Hive Tyrant's trying to prevent some sort of Gem Bash down here by Kickin's forces, but is forced off. He's too isolated on his own. Adrenal Gland is finally going to come out for that Warrior Brood. Hormagaunts now retreating backwards. Very precarious retreat path, actually. Oh god, one of them gets wiped as well. This is a chaotic game. Fitting for a slave of Tzeentch. So the Dreadnought is going to be the choice for Kickin. I assume that's probably going to be a Khorne Dreadnought. Just has such amazing synergy with the Chaos Sorcerer. And I feel like the Venom Cannons are really good at just standing and trading with the ranged Dreadnought anyway, so... the Venom Cannon on the Hive Tyrant, that is. Venom Cannon from the Venom Broods, not so much. But okay, you see the little melee Zerg rush here is proving quite effective. Yeah. Serious lack of melee control here. I think at this point it might be an idea to actually swap out the teleportation armor on the Sorcerer for some Robes of Torment. You know, pin the enemy in place, and then you get to shoot them like crazy with your Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines and pop those warriors. So no heavy melee yet, but we do have the Crushing Claw coming up for the Hive Tyrant. That will put on some serious pressure onto the Dreadnought. You can see right now it's not really doing anything. Here we go. Heavy melee is on the field. Now that Dreadnought needs to really be careful. Chaos Dreadnoughts, even though they're ranged, do get 20% melee resist, so a light melee resist on the full 40%. They will get 40% if they choose to upgrade to the Mark of Khorne. Wow, one more hit and he will die. What's he doing? He's not microing it away. Wow, that was so risky. Kickin clearly a little bit rusty on his micro. That's okay. Gets his Dreadnought out. Geotics are compromised. Oh, did the Hive Tyrant get a special attack and it missed? Oh wow, that's so unlucky. Clearly one more hit would have killed the Dreadnought, so if that Hive Tyrant didn't get a special attack and just got one more little poke in, that would be a dead Dreadnought and that'd be huge for Kickin. Kickin actually going to tier 3 off the back of all this, which, yeah, I guess that's fine. Okay, not really a whole lot going on right now. Ravener's just going to force off those AC ticks, take over the VP cap. What's going on here is each Marine is very slow to actually do anything, but they're going to start a Gem Bash now, might as well. If nothing else, it gives you red, right? I mean, Saibot seems to have... Well, he's not actually got that much power. Let's have a look. 94 power, yeah, so the Gem Bash would still be useful. You can see Doombot's clearly a lot less effective now that the Homguns have their upgrades and are in melee synapse. But Coruscating Flame should still prove problematic, especially if he procs a special like that. Oh my god. Poor Hormoguns, man, they just bleed. Ravener's putting in some pretty juicy damage though. You like to see it. Okay. What's happening with this Dreadnought? See, it's still not even fully repaired. And it's going to be a Predator. Wow. I think the combination of a Predator plus a Mark of Khorne Dreadnought should be pretty much unbeatable here, to be honest. Because all the AV that the Tyrannus can get prior to tier 3, it's just so vulnerable to melee. Whether they get the Hive Tyrant Venom Cannon, whether they get conventional Venom Broods, you just charge them with your Mark of Khorne Dreadnought, and then the Predator just stays back, whizzes around the map, and bleeds everything. We'll see though, I feel like Saibot is being given a little bit of a glimmer of hope here. But Kickin going to tier 3 and opting for this Predator, he's had a moment to try and pull back. And, you know, it's helped him. He's got the VPs in slightly less of a terrible position. Very questionable usage of the Rippers here. I don't know why the Rippers have just been thrown at a Dreadnought. That seems very odd. I mean, you're literally just feeding the XP and red to your opponents. It doesn't make any sense. It's actually going to be Mark of Nurgle, which honestly I am kind of surprised about. I would have gone for Mark of Khorne. Get that extra... I mean, Mark of Khorne's just so good. 75% extra damage on your heavy bolters, 25% extra damage on your autocannon, and plus 0.5 speed. So the Nurgle Predator is interesting because it's really slow, but it actually gets melee resist. So you're seeing right there that the heavy melee warriors were hitting it for quite a while, and it really didn't lose that much HP. If you had a normal Predator getting hit for that long, man, it'd be like half dead. And then the Nurgle Predator heals up as well naturally over time, which is beautiful. It actually probably does more damage with its bolters than the Mark of Khorne, even though the Mark of Khorne gets 75% extra damage, because the bolters on the Nurgle tank actually have damage over time, like the Plague Champion bolter. But the cannon is not very good on the Nurgle Predator. It does AoE damage over time as well, but as far as actually like taking out big targets, vehicles and heroes and stuff, it just doesn't do a lot of burst damage. But honestly, for me, in this matchup, I just want fast vehicles, because I know that the Tyrannus don't have a reliable snare, and why are the Tzeentch Marines meleeing a Hive Tyrant right now? This is a bit strange. I mean, this Hive Tyrant has really been quite a nuisance, isn't he? Okay, the first Carnifex is on the way. I say the first because, well, you know how it is. If you don't close the game out quickly when a Tyranid player has got a Carnifex, they could very well have a few more coming in very quickly. Without number called down as well. I like this, yeah. Saibot knows he's under a lot of pressure right now. He's waiting for this Carnifex to come out, and hopefully it's going to, you know, help him win this game, but he's bleeding VPs at a tremendous rate. Now falling underneath 135 VPs with a triple cap against him. He needs a cap, so of course he uses that without number. I like it. It's a play. But he really does need to get capping, and I don't think he's going to be able to. The Hive Tyrant is too low on HP at this point. Nurgle Predator will be able to force it off, yeah, and everything's forced off, so it's now a 2-0 cap in favour of Kickin, but the Carnifex is on the field. Well, not yet. Now it is. Carnifex is on the field. Let's see what kind of upgrade he's going to opt for. He is going to opt for the Venom Cannon, a hard anti-vehicle option. Makes sense. He has 2 vehicles to contend with right now, both of which are causing him pretty major problems. Might be able to get a snipe onto the Chaos Sorcerer here if he actually meleeed him, but he didn't. Oh well. Now Kickin doesn't actually have the red to be able to teleport out that Dreadnought anymore. Kickin being very liberal with his red usage with the Sorcerer. I like it for the warps, but honestly some of his Dark Flames have been very questionable. So the Venom Cannon Carnifex will chase away the tank for now. Not really any crazy AV on the field for Kickin. I mean, literally just this tank now that he's lost the Dreadnought. So, and like I said, this is part of the problem with the Nurgle tank. It just doesn't do a lot of damage with its autocannon. These Raveners might be going down because of the damage over time with those Nurgle bolters. Looks like they probably will. Oh god, they do. Yeah, brutal. But wow, wow, huge damage from the Venom Cannon Carnifex there. Man, he seems to kill it so fast. I know he was getting shots to the rear armor, and then there was a Tyranna formation nuke as well. But yeah, that tank fell pretty quick, especially for a Nurgle tank. And I think Kickin now is in a bit of an awkward position, because basically all of his units just get overwhelmed super easily by melee troops, even Hormagaunts. At least he's got some AV. He's got the Plague Marines with that missile launcher. They do a little bit against the Carnifex. Carnifex doesn't have crazy good regen, so you can chip away at it slowly over time. Doombot's coming in once again from the Sorcerer, dropping that Hormagaunt squad to about approximately 50% HP. And, oh, Subjugation from the Sorcerer. Very interesting. So he's going to subjugate the Warriors and do a whole lot of nothing with them, it would seem. Yeah. I assumed he was going to send them actually against the Carnifex to try and get that heavy melee damage into them. Well, now Saibot needs to be very careful. If you lose your Synapse units near to your Carnifex will lose 10% of its max HP instantly, because the Carnifex does actually benefit from the 20% damage resistance that basic Synapse gives. So it is actually getting a damage resistance buff right now, because it's close to the Hive Tyrant. Triple cap in favour of Saibot. Not a lot of time for Kickin now. Things change very quickly in Dawn of War 2. Kickin going to utilise that teleporting armour, the Vestments of the Warp, and get onto the VP. Terminator's trying to do something to stop him, but let's face it, there's only 5 models here. They're level 1, they're not really achieving a whole lot. I think we might have seen a Bioplasma from the Venom Cannon Carnifex there attempt to stop the decap from the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, but it does fail. They do get the decap, but the Hive Tyrant makes sure that they can't actually finish the cap, and I think Saibot has won this. Here we go. Like I said, boys, we got the Carnifex train. Carnifex number 2 is now out on the field. All that Saibot needs to do is park his Carnifex in this position with the 2 VPs, and I don't really see what Kickin can do. Just has to hold these 2 VPs for a while now. Not sure if Saibot's under pressure or if he's just overwhelmed otherwise with his micro, but I don't really understand why this Carnifex hasn't moved. Finally it's moving a little bit. Oh, Chaos Terminator's called him for Kickin. I like that choice. He needed something urgently. That is something. Hive Tyrant doing very well against them though. Wow, Hive Tyrant actually kills one of the Terminators. I find the lightning claws a little bit questionable, but I guess. The problem is there is now a form back Carnifex, and I think that's going to be the end of it. It does get its upgrade, so there you go. It uses the charge to send the Terminators flying, delays that decap, and it is now a triple cap for Saibot. The Zinchka Space Marines have no chance of capping here because of the Adrenal Gland Warriors. And that's it. That's GG. Wow. A nice little comeback from Saibot there. Damn. A very, very strange game, I've got to admit. A lot of things that I definitely did call out, a lot of mistakes were made here. I think the primary thing really was lack of bloodletters. When you're playing as Chaos versus Tyranids, just feels wrong to the core. Because there's no proper counter. The only real counter to bloodletters is Carnifex. You know, that's so much later. So, I don't know. You know, you've got a lot of impassable terrain on this map as well, which naturally makes the teleporting jumping heroes and units a lot better. I think Bloodletters would have been great, even a Blood Crusher early on, because Kickin had such a lead, but I understand him not realising he has such a lead. It just was so odd when I seen him get to tier 2 first, and then he replaces his ticks, and then he replaces his Noise Marines. I'm like, what? Okay. Anyway. That is all from your boy Torpid this time. I hope you did enjoy, guys. If you did enjoy it, please leave a comment, please leave a like down below, and support me on Patreon if you are able. Thanks for tuning in. Torpid out.